all of that, it's time to find out what's got Britain talking this morning.
Yeah, Gyles, Brandreth and Burley are here to join us with today's top news stories. Lovely to see you both. Very glamorous, sparkly.
I'm wearing this in honour of my friend, Burley. We have known each other, incredibly, for 4 decades, for 40 years. I used to pick her up from the local Montessori nursery school.
That's not true. I thought you were going to say you used to pick her up from Valentine's nightclub.
We met at TVAM, which was the first ITV breakfast show in the 1980s. And she was one of the stars of the show, and I was there popping up, doing very much what I'm doing now. And
it was exactly the other way around, by the way. You always the star.
So this was it. And
in honour.
It was a happy place to work, wasn't it?
It was a great place to work. Yeah, the guy who was our chief executive was sensational. Mad as a box of frogs.
Yes.
But sensational guy.
He was sensational. And he, in
what
a
was
way...
his name?
Bruce Gyngell.
Bruce Gyngell.
Of course.
And he made us
Good job I remembered, wasn't it?
He made us wear bright colours.
Yeah.
He was absolutely insistent on that. And do you remember the girl who wouldn't wear the bright colours?
Yes.
And how she left us?
The girl?
Well, I'm not naming names.
Spill the tea.
That suddenly got much more intriguing.
No. She left us because she didn't realise. He would say, people got to wake up with sun in their faces.
Yes.
You need to be positive. Particularly when it's bad news, you actually need to share with people the good things that are happening. And so, be bright. You are what you wear. And so,
I applied for a job as an overnight writer at TVAM, and I was walking up the big spiral staircase for my interview. He was walking down the other way, and I happened to have a pink dress on.
Yes.
And he said, what are you here for? And I said, I'm here for an overnight writer's job. And he said, would you like to be a reporter? And I said, I'll clean the floor in the canteen if you like. I just want the opportunity.
Yeah.
Here I am.
And that started it all.
Exactly. In the pink.
An amazing journey that it's been. It's lovely to have you here with us, Kay, this morning, to reunite the two of you. I'm sure Gyles has barely changed. Let's start with our first story, which is an interesting one. We've all got to have one of those. And it's an interesting one because we often talk about mobile phones and their invasive nature when it comes to your friends and family, and particularly your kids and their friends. Well, Sarah Davies, the Dragon's Den star, has revealed that when her children have friends coming over, she immediately asks the kids to put their mobile phones in a box. She confiscates them so the children can go about playing and enjoying each other's company without the distraction of the digital devices. She has a box at the front door. When they come in, they put their phones and iPads in, and the box stays in my bedroom. Her children are 11 and 8, so obviously they're little still, quite little, and their friends have got phones. But what did you make of this, Kay?
Well, how does she know they don't have 2 phones, first of all?
Well, they are little ones, aren't they? They might do, but yeah. As you get older, teenagers tend to.
Yeah, I think that I'm all in favour of people not being obsessed by their mobile phone, having mine on the desk here with me. But I don't think it's appropriate to take someone else's child's phone away from them. I just wouldn't do that. I would potentially say, please don't use your phone while you're in the house unless it's necessary. But that's a way where a lot of parents track their kids, isn't it, through their mobile phones. I know that when I'm travelling, which I'm doing a lot at the moment, I always have my WhatsApp live location on so my son can see where I am. It took me a while to figure out how to do that, I have to say. But we've got a rule that if we go for dinner once a week, we put our phones in the middle of the table. First person to look at their phone pays the bill.
Oh, I like that.
That's a good rule.
See, I do like the idea of being able to track, but if you know they're in a safe place...
Yes, once the phone's in the house.
And you know that the kids are there, the problem is if one has it, they all crowd around it like they're all addicted to them.
I hate to disagree with my old friend in our first conversation here,
However,
but I do disagree. When I go to somebody's house, I'm happy to obey the rules of that house. A few years ago, they would say, please don't smoke. Now they say, please take off your shoes. I'm quite comfortable with that. I'd be quite comfortable to arrive at a house and say, oh, it's a no-phones house. There it is. And in fact, if you go to a number of public buildings, for example, if you go for a visit to 10 Downing Street, there when you go in, there's an actual board where you slot your phone in. Then you come back, you take it away.
But you know all the journalists that go have got 2 phones, which is why I made the point. So they've still got a phone in their pocket.
But I'm hoping the 8 and 10-year-old children that Sarah knows have not got 2 phones.
No.
But as a principle, I think you've come for a party, you've come to play, you've come to do something with us as a family. As a family, this is how we behave.
Gemma says, I wouldn't confiscate another child's phone like you, Kay, but my daughter knows when she gets her phone, the rules will be to follow them. She turns 10, so she's about to get her first phone, she says. Laura says, I did the same at my daughter's birthday. They had 10 minutes to take pictures, and then they were all left out of the way in a big pile together. I'm not perfect, but as parents definitely need to get tougher. Easier said than done sometimes. You sort of need to do it as a group as well. I went to a screening of the new F1 film because we've got one of the stars coming in next week with my son, And often when you go into these films that haven't been released, they make you put your phone in a bag.
Yeah.
And it was quite a moment because you seal the bag up and you put it away. And don't often do that watching films these days or television. Your phone's, so you often second screen. It was I actually really enjoyed it. You immerse yourself in the film, not distracted by what's going on, not thinking about emails and messages you've got to send.
Yeah.
See, I'm not objecting to that. It's just that I don't think you should tell other kids what they should and shouldn't do.
No, in my house, you obey my rules.
OK. I'll bear that in mind, Gyles.
There you go.
Just before we move on,
yes,
remember,
yes.
we'd love you to be part of the conversation too. We're going to be hearing your views to those stories we've discussed later on in the show, so you can send us a message or voice note on WhatsApp by scanning the QR code. Put that on the screen, there you go. We need you to be 18 or over.
OK, let's move on to our next story. A new study has found that OAPs feel bombarded by adverts for funeral services, mobility aids and care homes. Apparently, they are fed up with being reduced to outdated stereotypes. What do you think, Gyles? Because when I ask my mum or dad what they want for their birthday, they go, we don't need anything. We just want to spend time with you and the kids.
It's very disconcerting. If you are somebody of riper years and you watch television, you see all these ads, particularly if you watch in the afternoon, which I occasionally do. The one that really disconcerts me is there's somebody who is sort of only middle-aged, but they're sitting in a chair and they press a button and then suddenly they shoot up and they go out for a little walk like this.
I like the look of that chair.
The other odd one I find, and I don't recommend this, is for a bath, which has a door in the side, you know?
Oh, yes.
And my mother bought one of these. She was 96 when she died, and she bought one aged 94, £2,000. She got it. She sat in the bath, persuaded by the advertisement on television, lovely bubbly water right to the top. She opened the door on the side, flooded the bathroom. The thing's a swindle. So the reason, of course, that they have these ads is there are older people watching. It's part of the... but it can get a little bit... there's not a day, not a week, no exaggeration, that goes by when I'm not asked to be the voiceover on one of these funeral plan ads.
Really?
This is partly because I host on an annual basis the British Funeral Directors Awards. Not a joke.
Sorry.
It's a real event.
I beg your pardon.
And they keep having you back.
They keep having me back. The big prize at the end of the evening is for the lifetime achievement, thinking outside the box. And, of course, it's necessary, and people do need to think ahead. But if you're sitting there afternoon, thinking, well, I don't want to buy gold coins. Oh, now it's a funeral plan. Oh, gosh. Oh, incontinence.
A stair lifter,
It can get you down a little bit.
Depressing.
I prefer more experience rather than elderly.
More experience?
Yes.
That's a very good... I haven't heard that phrase before.
And did you know, this is a fun fact for you, there are more people over 65 than under 16 in the UK.
Under 16?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of us around.
It's a hugely important demographic, isn't it? Sort of commercially, politically, all of those things. That's why you sort of see the politicians trying to get that vote, and you see why the brands will be trying to sort of get that group of experienced individuals to buy their products.
Yeah, in fact, I've got my Oyster card here, which is my Freedom card, because I qualify for my Freedom card. So, I climb mountains, you know, just because I'm more... Not quite as old. You're a bit younger than Madonna, I'm going to say. So I climb mountains now, and I absolutely love that. And I keep myself as healthy as I possibly can. My mother died when she was 59, and my dad died in his mid-60s. So I'm determined to irritate my son for as long as I can.
So do you think, then, if you're sitting and watching these things, that actually the elderly or the more experienced are being bombarded by the wrong sort of adverts?
Of course, without question. We disagree on that, don't we?
Well, I mean, I don't mind, because I like advertising. It informs you, it can entertain you. But there was a case a couple of years ago of an elderly lady who felt so bombarded on television, but also getting through the post, that it got her down. I think in the end she took her own life.
Oh, dear.
Tragic story. So it can be oppressive. But frankly, with the ads, if you don't like them, well, switch to another channel.
Or mute it or whatever,
I find it fascinating. When you think about... I was talking on the way in today, when you think about what our grandparents used to look like, our idea of my grandparents, when they were probably about my age when I first knew all my grandparents died when I was quite young, but they were probably about my age, and they were only in their mid-50s. And I think about my mum and dad, who are... My mum's nearly 80, my dad's 81, my great-aunt, who's 83, and they don't look old at all.
No.
There's been a big shift.
Yeah, the Golden Girls, I think, were the same age as me.
That's right.
So it's like, you know, the look was so different.
The world has changed. Both the Pope and the President of the United States of America are older than me.
There you go.
The only challenge I have is with technology sometimes.
Yes.
And when my son makes fun of me not being quite as au fait as he is, I point out to him that I taught him how to use a spoon.
Oh, so good.
There's things that he did learn from you. Do get in touch with us with that. We'll be talking a little bit later on. All the usual ways. We'll put the QR code on the screen. You get involved via the app. Right then, we know it's been a wonderful week at Ascot this week. Royal Ascot, of course.
Ascot.
There was a little bit of confusion yesterday, Kay, because the expectation was the Princess of Wales was going to be there. However, she didn't, in the end, turn out. The balance for personal and public duty, especially when she's still recovering from her illness, is something that is hugely important, isn't it?
The challenge, I think, for the royal family is they have given us the impression that she's fighting fit again and she's been working really hard. We saw it Tripping the Colour. Yes. She looked amazing on the balcony.
That's what I missed most.
Stunning.
Is the outfit.
And then, without notice, they say that she's not going to go to Ascot. Why? Because that immediately starts the question, doesn't it? What's happened? Why is she? Because she was in all of the paraphernalia beforehand, suggesting that she would be there. This is previously, isn't it? And now she isn't. So, you know, is she poorly again? What's going on? Do you remember that footage at Windsor Farm Shop when she was coming out and a guy called Andy Cohen? Yeah. Who is not Desperate Housewives? Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
He tweeted to say,
Bravo.
he tweeted to say that ain't Kate, and then she subsequently had to come out and do that video before she was ready, when she looked deathly pale and said, "I'm starting my recovery.
Right.
I'm doing what I can." So the point I'm trying to make is the conspiracy theorists will now be saying, "Well, where is she? Why is she not there? Why did she what?"
I'm with you totally.
Yeah.
I think you must be allowed to pull out of a day at the races.
I would think so.
I mean, it's a day at the races.
Yeah, it's not.
Come on.
Vitally.
I mean, it's not vital.
No.
It's not like Trooping the Colour,
No.
which is a big national ceremony, the great day, the King's birthday and all of that. It is a day at the races. And there's a wash of other royals. I think her mother was there yesterday.
She was.
She was.
So,
daughter-in-law.
But clearly, family comes first and your health comes first.
Yeah.
I think everybody in the country completely understands that, and it isn't an issue.
Absolutely. But I do miss the fashion of her.
Yeah, you did miss her being on the balcony.
She always looks so amazing.
She does.
I think Ascot had said that she was due to be in the second carriage in the procession, but then Kensington Palace had to come out and confirm that she would not be there. She's still trying to find the right balance as she fully returns to public-facing engagements. And I think we'd all endorse that.
So there.
Yeah.
Can we start talking about the French workforce? Zut alors, they are angry. People are turning down promotions. New research has found widespread reluctance to assume managerial roles in French companies. Workers are opting to stay in the same role to protect their work-life balance.
Well, an interesting survey is conducted among human resources directors, saying that apparently people don't want to be promoted because they would be rather relaxed. I'm not sure about work-life balance. I've always felt that work is life. And I like to feel I have a sense of purpose. So I like working. It doesn't necessarily mean working for money. I'm very happy here. But it also, you know, hobbies, enthusiasms, doing things. So this work-life balance thing, I think maybe overblown.
Yeah, when the team were asking me what I thought about promotion, I said, it's only my first hit, guys, give me a chance.
But it's interesting, though, because you've worked exceptionally hard for a very, very long time. You've just left your sort of breakfast time job. And how have you found that transition? And I think you're still working now. You don't want to stop working, do you?
No, I love working.
Yeah.
I think there's a famous phrase that says, if you enjoy your work, then you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed being nosy, and that's what a journalist does.
Chatting,
so, and chatty. My mother said I was born talking underwater. So, you know, I love chatting, and I have certainly not slowed down at all. I'm travelling a lot at the moment, and then I've got some other projects that I'm going to do, but I'm on a gap year for now.
But is there a new generation
Yes.
that doesn't take work feels it shouldn't take work too seriously, that it feels actually I've got to have time out? I phone people in the evening, and they say, you can't phone. It's 7 o'clock. You can't phone now. I said, I got an idea. They say, well, tomorrow. Call me tomorrow. A lot of people won't answer the phone.
Is that Mrs. Brandreth again?
But is there a generational shift in attitudes to work?
I think it's easy to tar a generation with one brush. I don't think all young people are like that. I know that my son's friends, they all work incredibly hard.
And are ambitious.
And are doing well in their chosen careers. But I think it's fair to say that there are some young people that don't want to work as hard as others.
Get it wrong,
but that's any generation, isn't it?
Someone said to me once, you won't lie on your deathbed and say, I wish I'd worked more. And that's such an important thing.
I'm sorry, I will.
But you think you're going to do that?
I will regret having not done the things I wanted to do. I'm still hungry to do things.
But because you love what you do.
Yes, I'm
that's
saying
the
that.
thing.
And that's having purpose, having interest, having enthusiasm. That is what is important. So we are of a generation, obviously I'm old enough to be your father, but we are of a generation where resilience, ambition and work, we have found are rewarding things. They're not negative things. And my anxiety about this is people somehow feeling, actually, oh, I've got to get the work-life balance right, as though there's something more virtuous in sitting, you know, on a sofa, doom-scrolling, than there is actually being out at work with other people doing something interesting.
It depends what they're balancing it with.
Exactly.
I think we should whisper the C word, which is, look at his face, COVID, and I think that has quite an impact. And trying to get people back to work is a challenge.
Yes.
Unquestionably. Someone who absolutely has loved his job for a number of years is Neil Cotton. He's 57, he's in East Yorkshire, he's a lollipop man.
He is.
Unfortunately, though, the health and safety execs at the local council have got in the way of Neil.
Is that actually Neil?
That's
It is Neil.
That is
his joy of high-fiving children as they cross the road.
Yes, don't leave him hanging.
On the way to school, apparently, he's not allowed to do it anymore because it's distracting the children, slowing down the traffic, and they need to concentrate on going from one side to the other.
Well, that's the reason he's there, to help them cross the road. Yeah, boo hiss, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, he's enjoying it, the kids are enjoying it. The drivers who are saying it's taking an extra 5 seconds to cross the road as a result, come on.
Yeah.
They obviously want to get to work, going back to the last story, but equally, come on.
To actually respect and like your lollipop person is a brilliant thing.
Yeah.
It's actually, I would have thought, helps with road safety because they come along, they look forward to seeing him halfway across. He's there, that little moment.
Yeah.
Everyone can wait and they go to the other side.
Yeah.
What intrigued me is that, according to road safety experts, children are generally not ready to cross roads independently till around the ages of 8 to 10.
I wouldn't let an 8-year-old cross the road.
I feel 8 is quite young.
It is young.
For crossing a road, certainly in London, as a child.
I totally agree with you. My son still holds my hand when I cross the road, or am I holding his? I don't know. But yeah, 8-year-olds.
Because you're a bit unsteady, though.
Oh.
That's what it is. I was a
again.
lot younger than that when I was crossing the road, but the traffic situation has changed and all that sort of stuff. I think this statement from East Riding Yorkshire Council, who are the council, said it. It's vitally important that children learn to cross the road safely, concentrating without any distractions, walking carefully, being vigilant of the traffic. In this particular case, one of our officers spoke with the crossing patrol, simply reminded them of the need not to have distractions while children are crossing. However, we are confident they will continue doing a fantastic job. They are much appreciated. There's a bit of joy. You'll remember your lollipop lady or lollipop man when you were away to school, Mrs. Davies, who used to say, "Over you come," to us as a kid. I've got such vivid memories. It was such a special relationship.
Was it Mrs. Doubtfire? Was Mrs. Doubtfire?
Mrs. Davies, over you come. Over you come. Over you come. Over you come.
He's going to be a national hero before the end of the week.
I absolutely
They're going to be appointing a common sense
I
minister
agree.
over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Who will salute
There'll be a
Keep doing what you're
statue
doing,
of him
buddy.
high-fiving children.
Yeah. Talking of politics, the UK's sexiest politicians for 2025 have been revealed.
Right.
Was this around when you were a politician?
Yeah, was it?
It certainly was when
it?
I was a politician, and we'll come to those in a moment.
Okay.
I ought to explain that this comes from rather a special website, which is called illicitencounters.com. The survey, therefore, has been done from people who are looking for an illicit encounter. Bear that in mind as you announce the results.
OK, so, first of all, securing 21% of the vote.
Yeah.
It is Nigel Farage.
Please, would you want an illicit encounter with Nigel Farage?
Second year in a row. I mean, there is, to be fair, you'll have interviewed him a number of times.
Many times.
I've certainly interviewed him a number of times.
Yep.
He is a very charismatic person. He has a very strong, forthright opinion and view, and people are drawn to him.
Are they?
Well, clearly people are drawn to him. He's become #1 in this, and he has a huge surge in his popularity.
People who want to cheat and, have illicit encounters.
I don't think Nigel Farage will be moaning about that, will he?
No, he won't be moaning about that. You're having a pint afterwards and a cigarette.
I think it's power that people are attracted to, isn't it? I remember one particular politician who I'd never thought that he was attractive. I met him in real life. He was so charismatic.
I know who it's going to be.
Do you?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
John Major.
Yep.
Was it John Major?
Really?
Everybody says that about knowing John Major.
Yeah.
He is remarkable.
So charismatic.
Why so? What is it?
Because his spitting image puppet was just great, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But what was it about him?
If he'd walked into the room and you had your back to the door, you would know he was there. He was so charismatic.
I'm shocked.
He's there, up there with Clinton, I would say,
Yes.
Bill Clinton. Yeah, absolutely. And Tony Blair, that sort of vibe.
In the 1990s, I went to a party in Downing Street where the first person to arrive was Michael Heseltine. Do you remember
Oh,
him?
yes.
Tall, handsome
Charismatic,
hair.
yeah.
He looked rather disdainfully around the room and then left. In came John Major, not as tall, not as handsome technically, but immediately people gathered around him. He was fun to be with.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, this is the reason John Major became Prime Minister
And
and
not
Mr Heseltine didn't.
Interesting.
There's something special about him. For me, from that
Okay.
generation, I would have voted, incredibly, for Margaret Thatcher, who,
Also
close
very
up and
charismatic.
personal, charismatic, but also rather sexy, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh, there we are together.
The two of you?
The pair of us. Neither of us
were you-
looking very sexy on that occasion.
What were you talking about there, Gyles? Do you remember?
We were sharing a joke. I do. In fact, that was she was going to. That was the night she made her last public speech, and the flowers I'd just given to her were to congratulate her.
People do talk about that. So we should just share that the
Yeah, go
female
on.
politicians, there's been a surge from 5th place last year to claim top spot. Labour's Deputy Prime Minister, Angela
I can see
Rayner.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Very striking, isn't she? She's
Yeah.
very sort of, that's a
And her
red hair.
I don't give a damn approach is also very endearing as well.
Interestingly, Keir Starmer has had a steep decline. He was 3rd last year, down to 9th this year. I wonder if that's a sort of reflection on his political performance or the headlines. I don't know.
But do we want sexy politicians?
Yeah.
Is that what we're looking for?
Why not?
Well, if it's...
Interestingly, all the people I've met who have known both Clinton and also Donald Trump say he is remarkably attractive as a person. Never mind the
interviewed him.
policy.
You've interviewed Donald Trump?
Yeah.
And he was?
He was very sexy.
What about Barack Obama?
I would love to
think he's quite... If he's up there for
Hold
me...
on, I'm really
You're going back to
distracted by
Trump now,
that.
aren't you?
I'm going back to Trump. What was it about
He's
Donald
tall, he's charismatic, it was even before he was elected as president, but I was on a rope line and I wandered up to interview him. His press secretary didn't want me to, but I was determined. My boss had sent me to interview him. So the camera came one way, I had a microphone heading the other way. I had to hold it so she couldn't see the mic, but also so they didn't think it was a gun, so I wouldn't get shot.
Sure.
And I shimmied up next to him and he gave me 10 minutes of his time and he was just superbly charismatic.
Wow. There you go.
Don't you think charisma has loads to do with who we find attractive? I mean, it could, like for instance, there's the clip of Obama. I think he's at a school somewhere, and he's literally he does this
Straight in.
Then watch this, cool as a cucumber, gets his coffee on the way out. That's what I do.
You know, he had a court at the White House.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he could
He
practice.
used to play a lot. Yeah.
There was a moment,
It's
I
very
think,
cool.
that saw this particular politician, in my estimations, which was during the coronation with her sword, Penny Mordaunt's, which was I thought this role, and that she just looks, wow.
She designed that outfit herself.
Did she really?
She did it so well. She came and sat here, you know, holding the sword.
And she came on the show.
Yeah, she came on the show.
Yeah, she
I imagine she takes one with her everywhere she goes now.
Yeah.
As she should.
The Joan of Arc's about her.
There were a few people that got in touch with us just to remind us just how debonair some of the politicians in the 80s and 90s were. This one in particular. Would you look at that?
Those were the days.
That might be
Look-
pre.
Oh dear, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, no.
I was a Mr. Bean lookalike competition, and I thought I would enter. Thank you.
There was a serial killer around here.
You look very debonair,
Where's
looking
that?
off
Is that
the
Oxford or Cambridge? That's
That
Oxford.
must be my Oxford College,
Yeah.
yes. So that would, I'm afraid, be the early 70s.
The 70s gone in.
Staring into your future, Gyles.
But bear in mind that it doesn't actually make any difference. Winston Churchill, charismatic, extraordinary. The end of the Second World War, people thought he'll be re-elected. Clement Attlee, by all accounts, one of the dullest and least vocal human beings you can imagine, then became Prime Minister, and a very important and significant Prime Minister. So don't let sex be the decider.
I give you the Miliband brothers as a perfect example.
Yes.
Because Ed was elected rather than David. Everybody thought that David was going to be elected as the leader of the Labour Party, and in fact Ed won instead.
It was the banana that did it.
Or the bacon sandwich as well.
Bacon butty, yeah.
Thank you both. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Lovely to you. Going to be back a little bit later on as well.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out, and we'll see you in the morning.